Hello everybody, Jake here and welcome to the hobby. I know a lot of people have been burned by modern Pokemon cards over the past couple of months. A lot of cards that used to be $100 are now $20. A lot of cards that were $80 are now $10. And we're seeing something kind of interesting in the market that I wasn't really expecting, which is a return to vintage. A lot of vintage Pokemon cards over the past couple of months have actually doubled or tripled in price, and I think a big part of that is due to the retraction in modern is people got burned on modern. A lot of modern illustration rare prices continues to drop because there's just a bloated and inflated amount of them out there, and with so many modern Pokemon cards floating around and copies of them constantly being added to the market, a lot of collectors, especially the ones with deeper pockets, are simply saying, hey, this is way too risky for me, this is way too volatile for me, and they start moving on to vintage Pokemon cards where the population reports for some of these cards are in the double digits or triple digits, where there might be 100 PSA 10, 50 PSA 10. There are so few copies of these cards being traded hands that they are truly low pop. I'm going to give you guys some examples of what I'm currently seeing jumping up in the vintage Pokemon card market, and I just kind of picked some examples. These trends are actually quite common across the board for pretty much any vintage cards. First one up, we got ourselves the Mudkip Gold Star card. This is a big chase card inside of the Team Rocket return set. At the start of this year, the Mudkip Gold Star card was going for right around $600, and right now it's going for roughly $1,400 for raw copies. That is a 133% price jump. Another big Gold Star card is the Rayquaza Gold Star. Very prominent and an iconic vintage Pokemon card that is highly desirable. This is from the Deoxys set at the start of this year. Raw copies were going for roughly right around $1,000, and right now even the worst raw copies are going for upwards of $2,750. That is a 175% return, which is massive. Another big one is the first edition Neo Lugia from Neo Genesis. Very popular card for any Lugia collector. At the start of this year, it was going for roughly $420, and right now it's going for $900. So in 6 months, it's jumped up 114%. And I know what you're thinking is that a lot of these cards are quite expensive, and a lot of people kind of feel like they've missed the boat on these cards. And if they've never had a chance to pick them up, then what's the point? We're talking about cards that probably aren't inside of your collection. But I wanted to showcase that these opportunities are out there right now, regardless of how vintage you want to go. And there's actually a ton of $5, $10, $20 cards that are very underrated over the past couple of months that have also seen very similar price jump. So I'm going to give you guys some example. A big one that I have been talking about for a long time is the Gyarados EX from Breakpoint. This card is awesome. It looks super cool. This was when alt art cards weren't even called alt art cards yet. The Gyarados EX at the start of this year was going for roughly right around $40 for a raw copy, which is actually insanely cheap and affordable for such a cool card. And right now it's currently going for right around $80 for raw copies, which still is not that expensive, and that's a 100% price jump. The next card up, we got ourselves the Gengar EX from Phantom Forces. I specifically chose to pick the regular ultra rare Gengar EX because, let's be honest, this is a $12 card, but there are a ton of Gengar collectors out there right now, and $12 for a regular ultra rare is still very affordable. I think most collectors can easily pick this up. That was the price at the start of this year. Right now, the Gengar EX is currently going for right around $125 for raw copies, so that is a 108% price jump, and these cards are starting to get quite old. These are 10-plus-year-old cards. Next up, we got ourselves the Mega Mewtwo EX from Breakthrough. Breakthrough was never really even that popular of a set, but this card was going for right around $25 at the start of this year, and right now copies are currently floating for right around $65 a copy raw, and that is a 160% price jump. I'm going to pick one more card, and this one's just out of left field. We're just going to pick the Umbreon and Darkrai Tag Team GX from Unified Minds. This is the regular ultra rare version of the Umbreon and Darkrai card. At the start of this year, it was going for roughly $20, and right now raw copies are currently going for $56, and that is a 180% price jump. And we're seeing this again and again and again for pretty much any cards that are a little bit more older and a little bit more vintage, especially if you're outside of the modern era. You can absolutely see that some of the more underrated cards are starting to jump up in value as people start to pull away from the modern era, because so many modern illustration rare cards are dipping so significantly in price that some of the older cards that are a little bit more stable are starting to see some of the value jump. And it's not just singles, because we're kind of seeing this across the board for even sealed products. So I wanted to bring up a couple of simple sealed products that have also seen large price jump. First one up, we have Generations Booster Pack. Generations Booster Packs have been kind of sleeping for a very, very long time. For the longest time, they used to go for $20, $30, and I haven't really seen them jump that much in price, but they have jumped significantly over the past 6 months. At the start of this year, you could find Generations Booster Packs going for roughly $40. Right now, you'll be hard pressed to find a Generation Booster Pack going for below $120, and that is a 200% price jump. The next one up, we got ourselves the Double Crisis Booster Pack. These at the start of this year was going for roughly $80, still quite expensive, but they're old packs. These are old packs and they are hard to find. When people talk about how rare modern cards are, these older booster packs are so incredibly hard to find. They just don't exist out there. A Double Crisis booster packs were going for roughly $80 at the start of this year. And right now at June, which is halfway through the year, they're currently going for $250, and that is a 213% price jump. Final example. A lot of people talk about Team Up because Team Up have been getting a lot of attention recently on social media. Tag Team GX cards are incredibly popular. So I wanted to see how well Team Up booster packs have been doing, because everyone thinks Team Up booster packs have been the fastest climber. And when I look into the data, that's really not the case. It's climbing, but nowhere near some of these other items or cards. So I wanted to showcase that what people think is the fastest climber really isn't the case when you start digging into the data. Team Up booster packs at the start of this year was going for roughly $80, and right now they are going for $160, which is a very respectable 100% price jump over the past 6 months. 100% price jump, doubling in value, is no insignificant feat. That is a big deal. But when you see a lot of these other cards on this list, some of them people rarely ever talk about. These are just regular ultra rares at some points in time, are going for upwards of well over 100% price jump. That really showcases the underratedness of some of these older cards. So be on the lookout out there. There are always some cool cards that people are simply sleeping on or don't even need to talk about. Sometimes cards get scooped up and they never made it onto the news. People are simply looking back at older sets, seeing what they like, seeing what cards are kind of rare or have low pop reports, or just have really iconic Pokemon or arts on them, and they're simply picking up what they want. And the market for some of these older cards are simply moving up because people are just silently picking up some of these cards. These cards don't make it on the news because who's talking about the regular Gengar Ultra Rare EX besides me? Probably no one, but it's just a random card that I picked. I could have picked some other ultra rare cards. Any of these ultra rare cards are also seeing very similar price jump if they have some iconic Pokemons like Gengar and Umbreon and Rayquaza and Mewtwo on them. People are picking up some of the older ones because they are getting burned on the modern cards. When modern cards are going from being $80 to $20 over the course of 6 months, sometimes people say, okay, I want to collect cards, but I don't want to take that level of risk. And they're simply going to older cards that they think are a little bit safer. Let me know what your thoughts are. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.